Good day, and welcome to another episode of Agent X11 Hollywood Dark Journalist. Another light in this darkened world. I am your host, Penny L.A. Shepherd, and I am Agent X11. My co-hosts are David Zublik, Heather Day, Joan Renee, Chris Montgomery, Skip Press, Tom Althouse, Jessica Garza, Edward Vidalia, Dr. Keith Abloh, and TJ Ward.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
Agent X11 Hollywood Dark Journalist begins now. And welcome to another episode of Agent X11 Hollywood Dark Journalist. Everyone is on the board. It's a miracle. My name is Penny L.A. Shepherd, and I am Agent X11. I am joined by my co-host, Joan Renee, Tom Althouse, Jessica Garza, and this is Brian Singh Presents. This is his segment on Agent X11, and our guest, Syren Wind. Welcome, Syren Wind. We're pleased to have you here on the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. Joan Renee, how are you?
I'm good. I think this is going to be an interesting show, so I'm looking forward to it.
Tom Althouse, thank you for coming in. How are you?
I'm excited. In fact, I got to tell you too, this lightweight stuff is off charts. I'm not trying to sell. I get up in the morning, I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh my God, I got my legs back. I'm like, you look good. I'm like, it works really well. I mean, it works really well. I got my high school body back. So yeah.
Nice. Very nice. Jessica, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm actually working in my patio today. So
nice.
The birds.
Okay, excellent. And Brian, how are you? I know you must be tired after such a long journey in your conference. Did he freeze?
Yeah, it was a long drive back. We ran in a little bit of car trouble in Texas, but it's not bad. Now we're all home, and we've got a lot of things in motion, including acquiring a conference site in Sedona, so that we'll have another conference place in addition to St. Pete Beach at the lovely Serrata Beach Resort. We will be returning there at least one more year next July for a third Full Disclosure Now conference. We'll see what we do after that. But in addition to Florida, we now have a Sedona site that will be coming online this year.
Excellent. That is so exciting. Syren, tell us about yourself.
Well, I work with frequency, sound, tone, energy, and light and geometries. So through sound, tone, energy, transform energy, open, clear, activate with individuals, with the earth, with magnetics, and different openings, interstellar openings, portals, etc.
Now, Brian, how did you meet her?
Syren approached me in regards to the conference and being a presence there to be able to vend and potentially speak. We ran out of slots for her to speak, although I would like to have her speak next year at the 2026 Full Disclosure Now conference. And Syren has a lot of gifts and abilities that I'm finding her. I mean, I don't want to say that they're common in our community, but in our community, there are a lot of people who are able to sense energy, to work with energy, to speak with other like ET beings, for example. Syren's one of those people. She not only does she have those abilities, she does amazing artwork, and she also does readings for people.
Nice.
And so she was an amazing addition to our conference this year, and it'll be an even bigger one next year.
Wow. What kind of artwork do you do, Syren?
Well, I layer geometries, light code, and different imagery together. So it amplifies, it activates. Light code is essentially a technology with different functions. So depending on what's in the code, it has different potentials. So layering that with different geometries as our basis, there's information there. So when we experience, say, the artwork or the colors, for example, we can have an experience of activating dormancies, opening, or even clearing. Many people have said when they've experienced the artwork that it's something they saw from the other side, if they had an experience from the other side, or a near-death experience, or some other type of opening experience with different plants and things, that they've seen those types of geometries, of the open realm when they're accessing those things.
Do you believe that binary code is a galactic language?
Well, I believe there's a lot of different galactic languages. There's dots, there's tapping sounds, there's tones, there's symbols. There's so many more dimensional planes, and we've been, as a general, believing, thinking, for an example, 12D is the maximum. There's infinite realms, and there's not physical representations of bodies on some of these planes, where the communication method is actually telepathic. So you might not hear anything, but there's still a communication wave that is going on, or a sine wave that still is, light technology communicating, or creating a function, having a purpose that is anchoring in some type of a way, for evolutionary purposes. So I do know there's many different languages, and yet to be discovered many others, just as we're discovering different beings as we open more, different planetary systems, star systems that aren't commonly known about.
In today's go ahead, Tom.
I didn't mean to. Go ahead.
In today's technology, we are finding that light is being used and has been used for quite some time for healing. They use it in the healing of animals. They use it. I think that, like Brian has said, for our Star Trek future, right? I think that we're there now. I think that we're seeing some of these technologies, the light technologies, because light is healing. Tom?
Yeah, I have a question. It seems like humanity is conditioned to respond to sparkly and shiny. Do you notice my watch in the picture? It's almost impossible to ignore. So is that figured into the factoring that you're talking about, that we are conditioned, like we're going to respond to certain light patterns, certain things like that, that it's designed that way for us to do that?
Well, we are all light, and we're frequencies, so we're responding whether we're consciously aware of it or not. We're responding to everything that's coming within and without our reality at any given moment. And it's when we become aware that we are this, that we are that light, and what we are emitting and transmitting, receiving, and anchoring in, that's when we can actually consciously co-create with that, with the geometries and with the light. So
True.
So the reflection is there for all of us, with the shiny watch, or, the shiny light codes that are coming through the sun, or another shiny being that we a person.
My question, though, is do you think our creators put that into a purpose to guide us, like guiding us with light, like the star over Bethlehem? It's like, is light, our reaction, it's a heavy question, but our reaction to light may be designed in to guide us down a path through the darkness, poetically put.
That's a reflection. That's a reflection of us standing here is reflecting to each other. Say it's an object or another person. It's designed that way so that we're reflecting, and through our magnetics and our energy, there's this interplay, this experience, this reciprocation, hopefully, if we're emitting that way, where it's not just unfolding, that we're actually exchanging with the energy. It's designed that way so we can learn and expand in some type of way. It just depends on what we're magnetically bringing to us in our reality.
So I would
let's
real quick,
maybe
answer my question real quick, because I don't want to leave people hanging. I believe, discussing with you, that it is designed, that God designed it to use every aspect to have his children follow the right way. So I just answered my own question. Thanks, though.
let's speak a bit more about the nature of these light codes that so many people in a community, they talk about, and then even it shows up on a lot of the artwork on some of these older artifacts, like these Huejilo stones from Mexico. And the light codes, it's information coming from higher realms and planes that doesn't have to be necessarily encoded in a way that we can read it like English for us to understand. Just like when we listen to a piece of music, we don't have to know how notes are put together into chords to appreciate the music. It'll still resonate with us. And it seems like different people at different levels, like they can be exposed to the same light codes, whether they're getting telepathic imagery or they're seeing it in artwork or in music, and they can have different effects. That just the information beaming on high might contain that much information. Maybe only that much translates down to us here, but I guess I would say any of that is good if it's coming from the higher realms. If it's higher spiritual information.
I agree. Brian. Go ahead. One last thing.
That's right. And this leads to as above, so below, as within, so without. As the codes are coming from higher down and we resonate with them, and then we do things to implement what is in those codes, then that's a reflection of as above, so below, as within, so without.
And you just turned something on so perfect for a perfect match right now that I want to share it because I don't want to let it go. Like the creative process. Creative process I learned in writing, art, sculpture, painting, everything else is to be open to allow that to happen, where you're not going to force it, spoon feed your audience, but you're going to set up something where you learn from it, your audience learns from it. You're allowing a gateway to that kind of light through your creative process by not bolt and pasting it, but allowing it to be very organic and freeing, where it has layers that people then could discover in it as you discover from them, and it brings us together. Anyway, that's very important to me, very important to my heart, because that's what my work does. And now we're trying to convince Hollywood the same thing. But thank you for opening that door.
Joan?
Yeah, I have a question for you as well, because I looked up some art. Now, when you're talking about light and wind and geometry, do you make interactive art that uses all of that, or?
Yes.
And can you describe some of the art that you do? Because I think I'm seeing it. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Is it like something that you could put in the yard or put outside, and it uses light and wind in order to activate? Is that your art, or because when I put your name in, that's what came up?
Well, it's actually, I mean, I pulled an example out. I don't know if I have a background and if you'll be able to see it, but probably not. Oh, there you go.
There we go.
But it's different geometries. This is just one example, and it'll have an energy.
Wow.
Yeah, there's layers of geometries, frequency, tones. I sing, so there's somatics. There's layers of somatics, energies, and intention within it. So the experience is, it's like Tom was saying, the experience will be completely open-ended as to what somebody's willing to allow or how it will permeate, within their understanding. but it'll have a generalized energy to it, and these can be used in a healing space, a studio space. I have many on clothing, so they're activating visually, but also the way people are perceiving them is very unique depending on what you might see here. There's different layers and layers within it. So what it might spark could be very well remembrance. Many people are spark their own light language, which everyone has the ability to do, or telepathic communication. It has activated that as well. Thank you. And there's different examples. I just happen to have two in my office here. I can just kind of share with you. They're very, very different, and they could be used outside as well as.
Oh, that's also beautiful, on a total different vibe than the last one.
Yeah, and what I have done is after creating all of the originals, I put them into books with poems that are high frequency word, that they're complementary, activating, and journals, but they're also downloadable where you could put them on tapestries. Say you want them, to work with them in different ways in a meditation studio or something like that, because they're very different. The layers of light code and information is received when the person is in readiness. You don't always necessarily need to know the why or what's happening, because it's bypassing the linear mind. With the art, and that's what art in general does, is the colors, the color frequencies, color theory is that different experiences, different colors will evoke different releases of traumas, or even openings to inner dormancies or inner, ancient awareness that somebody may have. And the way that these are layered are to specifically activate all of our ancient knowledge, because we're all that are here right now very I perceive it this way anyways, ancient beings. We've come for very specific purposes, and it takes certain elements of reflection in our experience to really activate those dormancies. Our mapping systems, our DNA that we have within us, is where all the information resides. And it could really be through sound and frequency and an experience, or art, or that with art, which is why I parallel those together: art, word, sound, tone, frequency. There's so much in each layer to, as a multifaceted multidimensional being, it can really weave back together some of those facets or fragments, you want to say, sometimes happens with different lifetimes.
And sometimes, sorry, I just want to say, sometimes light language doesn't always come through as artwork, like what Syren has physically or visually. A lot of times I've been around people where we're on certain topics, where we're visiting a certain area, like Camp Hero, the Montauk Project Army Air Force Base, and people spontaneously start speaking light language and in light codes. And even though they don't know what they're saying, because very few of them have ever been able to translate the light language, the same feelings seem to come out of them. And there's different people, at different times.
What's interesting is when I hear Syren talk about the art, and she talks about it with the different emotions and the different frequencies. And my son is a musician, and he talks about music that way. And he talks about each note having a mood, which a lot of us don't understand. And so when you get somebody who composes a piece of music and it moves people, they don't understand why it moves them, but they're saying, I have this dark tone, and then I have this light tone, and I'm going to take you into a serious place, and then I'm going to brighten it. And they're able to do that because they understand those tones. And I can see that in your artwork with the different use of light and the tones and the colors that you use in your work. Because when I look at it, on the one hand, it's very interesting. On the other, it's also very calming, and it draws you in.
And, I was going to say too, Syren, that it's freeing. I can see that your art, you're not blocked when you do your art. It's like you're free, and you're allowing us to be free in it, because there's nothing labored in it that would tie us or distract us. They say the eye follows around a certain pattern. We do that naturally. and you don't take us on a journey where we hit roadblocks. And I really think that's really cool. And I was going to ask too, when you hear the music, do you see imagery when you compose your music? 'Cause that's what happens to me too. It's like I'll get imagery, and it's almost like a hidden language within the music that there's imagery that rides with it that seems to be universal. Is that true?
Yeah, well, that's why when I'm actually creating art, I'm singing, sounding, and toning at the same time. And those geometries or those waves come through in the art as well. So it's like that multidimensionality that we are is literally unfolding in the art, but it's also unfolding through the frequency, which like like even parallelly is infused even further into the art because of the sematics of a watercolor, and most of these are watercolor, that's going into the water and the tone of the art as well. So it's actually in the energy of the material matter of the canvas itself. But I'm literally, traveling the realms, the different energy of what the intentions are of the piece during that time. So like my mind isn't in the work, it's the geometry, it's the energy, it's the sound, it's whatever it's emitting, it's evoking, and then that translates through all of the different layers.
I have a question for artists then, like myself, because this is a big one for a lot of us. How do you prepare, or do you let it just happen when it comes, or do you can you turn it on, or does it just have to come on its own, or how do you set yourself to do your art?
Well, when I'm feeling called to do something, and this is actually began when I was really young, like about 3 years old, I would spend hours and hours drawing, coloring, layering, shapes and sounds and things that I was seeing, perceiving. Is that when I'd feel like I wanted to draw or needed, like something needed to be created from nothing, I would just sit down with, a blank sheet of paper or canvas, and then I would be sparked by something. So there'd be an intention. And a lot of times with these, especially when I started creating all these watercolors, where it was a poem, that is how I was seeing reality. And it was showing me, like through these dualized experiences, like how to transform energy. And it came through as a poem and the art at the same time. So so it's like inspired to make that into a book with both, so that they would each amplify each other, and you could also see and experience the process of the energy transformation in whatever way somebody would. So a lot of times the poems are on the back of these because I wanted to make sure I would remember. Would remember, and then I turned it into books. But yeah, it was like an intention or a poem or something about, because I had always thought it was interesting being on Earth. As a child, I'm like, some of this stuff doesn't make sense. How do I make sense of this, of what I actually know to be true? And then I would play with the different shapes and energy to see it differently and understand it differently, and it always came through my art.
That's amazing. Another one more deep question, and I'm really hogging it today, but I always felt as a kid that I had wings, that I could fly, and it's like
Me
your
too.
yeah. So
Yeah.
your art makes me think of someone who has flight capabilities, wings. You're not limited to the certain plane. So do you have that sensation when you were a child that you really should be flying, or that you have the ability to be free to go wherever you want?
Well, I was actually like, I would think a thought, and this was like, again, this was really young. If I would think a thought, say about someone or about somewhere, I'd feel like I would instantly go there. Like I wouldn't take my body or anything like that, but I felt like if and as I would think about something, I could just go there, and I would feel the energy. I'd be in that place, which really wasn't always necessarily a place. It was a dimensional plane. I didn't describe it that way as a kid because I didn't understand that part of it. but I could feel that, and I even now, like when people talk about things like remote viewing, I never really seen it that way. That I would just feel the energy of something or someone, and then when I would think a thought about it, I would just go there energetically into that space. So I never really felt like I needed to fly there. I would just think, my mind would take me there into the energy and the frequency of that realm or place.
That's beautiful. So you didn't have to overcome obstacles. I had to fly to get around obstacles. In my own dream movie, the guy has to fly to escape trouble. You don't have that problem. You're just able to just transcend wherever you are, anywhere. So that's pretty cool. You've outdistanced me.
Well, I think that's what we're all discovering in our own ways right now is that frequency, like as we're tuning our frequency, we can all do that. We can all transcend, and not necessarily if we want to take the body, we can, but we don't need to unless there's a function or a purpose for it. But we can all do that through frequency as we're, raising and rising our frequency and becoming more light, that there's capacity for everyone to do that.
You're so sensitive from it. I can hear it in your voice that this is part of who you were. It sounds like something that you were really born with from the very get-go. And that sensitivity is so much greater than the average person. So when you get out into general population, other children, like say your age or whatever, and they're not as sensitive to those frequencies. And did you feel that difference when you were younger, that that you were able to be a lot more sensitive than they were as far as frequencies and color and sensitivity to other people and their emotions and so forth?
Well, yeah, I could tell right away, like I could feel, and as I was watching people and seeing like the shapes and the sounds of their thoughts, because that's how I would see my reality was through, like, I could see the thought forms, through the energy
Mhm.
waves, sine waves, but I could see as I was watching the energy that they couldn't see that, and I could sense that they weren't seeing the same things. And I could also feel when they were saying something that was different than what they were actually feeling. Like, if they were going to say something, or, do you want to go play ball or something? I'm just making up something, but you want to go play kickball. And I'm like, but they don't really want to play kickball. They're just saying that, and it's like, well, their thoughts aren't actually the same as what they're saying. And I could see the difference. And then there would be like this third reality that'd be created of confusion or irritation by the child saying, well, oh, I don't know, but it didn't turn out the way I wanted. It's like, well, your thought and your sensation, your feeling is different. Of course, then you're going to get a third thing, and then it was always like fascinated. I'm like, how do you not see that's what's going on? How do you not see that's why it's not turning out like what you're saying you want?
That's
Did you find,
interesting.
yeah, that is interesting. Did you find someone in your life early on that you felt understood and you could identify with, that they shared the similar experience, or were you pretty much alone on that? Or did you have somebody who was sort of an influencer in you that seemed like they were there to help be a guide at early age?
I don't I didn't feel that way like about, kids or other people around me. But what I did feel was like my grandmother always felt like a Mary to me, like she had Mary energy, like Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, and she was very like all loving and pure. So to me, like being around her, I felt like I could be myself entirely, and she was always encouraging that. So that would be the most closest parallel of what I recognize as my home, the frequency of purity and energy of like how I knew things are, because they're not really dualized, and the density that I arrived in. I was like, well, I don't know what any of this is, but I recognize her frequency as what we're headed towards.
That's beautiful.
It is.
Did I have a question for you. How was it like when you started? You said you didn't know, you were very young, and did you connect with like your parents, like what did they say? Like how did they handle like what was going on?
I guess I never really like shared that too much of what I always felt like the things that I could see and that I would, feel an energy, like
Mhm,
that was to share with people later. It always
mhm,
felt like, well, there's going to be a time that people will want to hear about this, but not right now.
mhm,
Like this isn't the time that maybe they will understand that.
mhm,
And I also felt like, the people that were my parents were like like it had a function, like there was a function there, but they weren't really my parents in a way. Like, you know, that like the energy didn't feel the same how I felt with my grandmother. My grandmother felt like my
Like your mom.
relative, you know, like actual soul relative. But some of my other, you know, family relations were more like there was a function there, or say like we have these learning relationships, and then when it comes to a point, then it's not anymore. You know, it's not,
Yes.
you know, it's not the same function.
Okay.
I'm going to offer something to you, Syren. I was told by Hollywood that I created a world that everybody's immersed in now because of the major story, but I think your world's prettier, and I think it's a nicer world. And so I would like your world to take over my world. And,
Thank you. Well,
I'm looking at some of these geometric drawings that Penny is flashing up there, and they're very similar to a drawing that I got up around Mount Shasta at one of the art stores. And the woman there does basically the same as what you do. She gets inspired to do them, and they're all geometric, and she freehands them, and they look like they've been done by a machine. They're so perfect, but they're complicated. Like some of the drawings, you know, the inner circles and the decorative things, and the geometry that's in it is very much there. And you look at it and you do get kind of an inspiration from it. And yet when you look at it, it's geometric shapes.
yeah, within all of the geometry is our unique geometries that we all are. And that's the beauty of these drawings, is that
Very beautiful.
thank you.
Do you freehand these because they look so perfect?
Yeah, they're all freehand. The only thing is when I do lines, I use a ruler. And when I do circles, I'll use a circle template, but they're all freehand. So when they are that symmetrical, that is really how I'm seeing the geometries, which, I mean, we're all uniquely geometrically designed. So in some kind of way, those reflections are within all of us to, you know, see or feel whatever it is that we experience in the art.
so beautiful. I got to ask you, do you do crop circles? I mean, it's like, it just seems like this, like you're telling me that the message we're getting through the cornfields is actually one
Right.
of balance.
Well, those are those are codes too, just like we're all, you know, we're all uniquely coded with information, or, you know, instructions or purpose. Those instructions that are in those crop circles is technology and also activation, but in some way we're recognizing something when we see them. We're experiencing something that it's like, you know, having this aha dormancy moment that that within us, that we're receiving something, right, with the crop circles.
Exactly. My mind's being blown. I wrote in the comment. My mind is actually being blown because everything's activating right now. And it's like, now I look at the crop circles as not as the government says it, but as, you know, wow, maybe we're a similar idea. You know, it's like, here we are sharing back to kickball when we actually want to play. It's like, you know, anyway.
Yeah.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
And a lot of these photos from this montage, this is all from the 2025 Full Disclosure Now conference. So we all had an amazing time there.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
It was beautiful.
Yeah. Now, this is another example that you're showing right now of like light code. It comes through hand movements, the transformation of energy, but that's also an example of a way that I work with the light codes through the geometry, and the light of anchoring is through my hands by transforming the energy. And so like this example is where the sun is actually emitting, you know, plasma light. There's codes seen and unseen, and bringing them through the physical vessel, you know, and anchoring them in, say, the land, is helping activate or clear, or, you know, opening dormancies, etc. There's so many potentials of working with the hands to transform energy. So I'm doing that with the earth many times, like in these videos. and also when I'm working on with energy sessions, that's how I'm working with the energy as well. So it's through my hands, transforming, shifting, lifting, activating DNA dormancies, clearing old, you want to say old, but parallel lifetimes, ancestral thought memories, patterns, through all of the layers. And when I'm working with my hands, it's moving and transforming the energy very fast. And also through the sound and the frequency, that's like another parallel assistance to help move, shift, open, or expand the energy. So it's literally working on all of the multifaceted layers of us as unique beings at once. And a lot of these videos too are clips of I do sound meditations and frequency meditations. I have a YouTube channel, and I put those like smaller clips on like Instagram or Facebook or YouTube that you can use as meditations or activations. And these are murals that are actually function very much like portals or energy fields, where I've placed them in a healing space that I'm creating now. And as they're configured together, I'm coding the different murals and geometries together, that when you're walking into the room, it's much like, say, walking into a pyramid or an ancient structure, that you walk into the room and the frequency that's held there with the geometries, you can literally change your whole energy and your whole field through the sound, the somatics, and the geometries, the light codes that are within that room or that building. So it's like bringing back the ancient knowledge of what we already know, that temples, structures, that everything encoded within the crystals, the rocks, there's memory, there's geometries there that we can literally reascend to our pure state, which is why most of us that are here right now are here to do that, and then help each other do that as well.
Did you, when you were in school as well, did you excel in this type of like if you wanted to go into like technology or something like that because of the use of the geometry, did you have an aptitude for that as well, since this comes through in your art so strong?
I was fascinated with those things, but I always felt like there was something missing.
Mhm.
Like that mathematic or that geometry would get to a certain point, but I was like, but there's more layers to that have more information. So I would draw over it. Like I would draw over those geometries with more geometry, and then I would add symbols, which is how I called it as a child, symbols, because that's what I would see in the light is symbols. And that to me was information that was magnifying or amplifying through the layers what it could actually do. So
Mhm.
it's like it would take us to a certain point in school, but then I'd get bored and I'd add more to it. I was like, but there's more to that, and there's more to us than we're being told. So I would draw like over a lot of the workbooks and things of the way I was actually seeing it. And like at a certain point, I ran out of courses to take because I took them all, and they were making up different art classes for me, because I was like, well, I actually want to work on this. I actually want to do this. I want to understand that, but we're not doing that here. Like, what else can we do? So
Mhm.
they've created like a different I guess you want to call it program, that where I could do other things, because I was like, but there's a lot of things that are left out that we're not covering yet. So I would start to explore the geometries through that. And large scale, I would do large scale murals with different geometries on it, because I felt like that was more amplifying, with the energy, the larger they were. And then the visual experience people would have with it was much more profound.
The reason I'm asking is because I worked a lot in IT, and I knew a lot of people in research and development that talked very similar to you. And when they had a vision, they could literally put a geometric structure in front of them, visualizing it, and rotate it 360 degrees to look at it, where we use a program to do that, but they could do that with their minds. And that's how they wound up in R&D. And this would be in companies like Intel and Deloitte and some of the other ones that come out with some of the new innovations. So that's, it sounds to me like your mind works in such a way that you went towards the art, but there are so many more applications that are still creative that you could have used this for, and that people like you are using it, that would totally understand everything that you're saying, where those that don't have an aptitude for this may not really understand it at all.
Right.
Yeah, this is so brilliant. You guys are amazing. I just now I get why IBM was trying to recruit me and why we're all right here right now. Because it's yeah, Syren, my homework in second grade was filled with diagrams and equations and things like this and drawings and art and colors. And my teacher was like, stop doing this. Stop doing this. You're going to I'm like, I can't help it. It opens this door to this door to this door to this layer. And you're right. They strip all the layers out and they simplify everything to a stupid, boring level. And you don't want to be there, and then they think you're gonna flunk you. Then they put you in this other session where they learn you're supposed to be advanced 2 grades. It's it's just they dumb everything so down that I'm glad I get to release this right now. I'm venting. Anyway, thanks.
This particular picture says new activation and mediation frequency album is now available. Download the Energy Vortex Mediation and Activation album, 9 full 1-hour immersive frequency sessions where we explore, weave, anchor, accelerate, and expand through various frequencies, tones, geometries, sounds, and intentionalities unique to and for activating, clearing, expanding, and opening each of the energy vortex centers featured in these sessions. Allow yourself to receive and utilize this acceleratory mediation and activation 9-hour series as a tool intuitively utilized on your unique journeys of evolution. I suggest headphones for full experience. The immersive set includes Stellar Gateway, I Am Light, Crown, Transcendence, Communion, Universal Wisdom, Pineal, Inner Vision, Perception, Consciousness, Throat, Truth, Transmutation, Transparency, Heart, Gateway, Union, Remembrance, Solar, Sovereignty, Empowerment, Purpose, Sacral or Sacral, Vitality, Creation, Flow, Root, Foundation, Stability, Connection, Earth Star, Depth, Grounding, Base. Many of you have been experiencing the brief excerpts of each of these activation sessions on my YouTube channel found here at Syren Wind, and that's SYREN Wind. But now the full-length immersions of the 1-hour sessions of each of these pivotal and acceleratory sessions are available in one full-length album as a direct download. And you put this download on your Instagram, and then you say download the album direct above. Also experience the excerpts of each immersion here. So I'm going to tell people to please go to your Instagram. It's SYREN_wind, and you can find all of these things. And then also to your YouTube channel, which is at Syren Wind.
Thank you. You actually can download, there's a lot of different meditations you can download direct on my website. And that's one of them. It's a whole album, and it's a vortex series, so that as we're activating and opening right now so fast, so swift, these evolutions are of transformation, that it's an assisted tool that we can listen to in so many different ways, while we're going for a hike or a walk or meditating. And they're all 1-hour downloads that are on the website. And some of them are packaged like that, where I call them an album, and it's a series set, but they have very specific functions where, different vortexes of the body, for example, the heart, the pineal, the throat, it activates the different energies for that, say authenticity, expression, speaking for the throat, heart, and I am presence, with a crown, opening up to the higher realms, etc., and on through the different vortexes of our body and our systems. But each one has a different frequency and energy to it. But what I actually do in those is layer my voice, where I layer the tones of my voice on top of each other, so there's no other instrument. but I amplify the energy, like magnified usually I mean, this is a little more scientific, but into a 3, 6, 9 layer where there's 3 layers of my voice amplified in different ways, so that not only are you experiencing the frequency of, say, crown activation or heart activation, it's magnified times how many times I'm layering the different tones and energies and light codes. So what you're getting really with an hour meditation, you're getting 9 hours in 1 hour, or something like that, because it's so amplified. And really that's how fast the energies are moving, and how fast I actually see the light moving, because light is so fast that to catch up and upgrade all of our systems, we really need these tools to do so, in different ways. So it's where you can intuitively work with them.
I have a question too, Syren. It's like they said Mozart really didn't do many corrections at all, and watercolors seems to be very unforgiving to me. If I put something down on watercolor, I can't correct it. It's down. There's no way like oil paint or acrylic's very forgiving. But as far as and so, do you find yourself just able just to do it one take, just go through and just have it the way you want it without having to go back and correct anything or smudges?
Yes, but what I do is I'll use this one as an example. But like, you see how many layers, hopefully you can see at least some of that. And you can actually download any of these on my website on the shop page also. So if you wanted to get a better idea of what they look like, but there's layers and layers and layers of geometries. So I will know when it's finished by when the energy feels complete of the message and the energy. So I won't like redo it, like change it, or there's no way to erase watercolor, but I'll know if like there's more information that's needed, or more code or more geometry, or if I layer the code and then all of a sudden it feels like there needs to be more geometry, I'll just put another layer over it. So it's like it needs to be a certain amplification so that however it's received is actually correct. Otherwise, it doesn't have the same power to me, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense. As an artist, I get it totally. But do you seal it somehow? Do you finish it somehow so it's safe?
Yeah, I put clear coat on it that's matte, so it doesn't give it a sheen, so you can see all of it. And the originals can be framed where you still can see all of the layers, because these particular watercolors are marker over the watercolor, and then there's also colored pencil that has lines, dots, and nodes. I call them like the nodes of the intersecting points, which have a different function too, where the points meet. It's kind of like where the points of light meet as we're meeting here, or different people meet. There's a node that's created from the meeting, which has a point. So there's different layers done with different media too.
Beautiful. One last question to the child. What was your favorite color, or did you have a favorite color, and was there a meaning attached to that color?
Well, I liked different shades of purple and shades of blue. And what I felt like with the shades of purple was I felt like it was instantly I was into the other realms with purple. And especially the really deep purple was something that felt very resonant to me. Yeah, probably my favorite.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you, I'm looking at your Instagram, and when you're talking about codes, are you I guess the ones that you're drawing that look like, sometimes they look like numbers, are those the codes? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I've never seen anything like this. So I was just, and how do you see them? Like, you're drawing those as you see them, or?
Yeah, well, I see them all the time. Like I can see them like within the different layers of like, multidimensional layers. But if I'm literally sitting down to draw, say like a whole page of code or a geometric template, which some of the stuff you'll see on, like if you were to go to light language art, like if you go to that page, you see that in the where it says products and services on the screen. If you go see where it says light language art, yeah, if you click there, you'll see like some of these geometries, these templates, and the code is actually like I'll draw the energy and the information of what I'm feeling that needs to be expressed, because to me, as I'm writing it, it's happening. So like whatever the energy is, me writing it into existence is like speaking it into existence, so that purpose or that energy of the it, like whatever it's for, will occur. So but I'll just see it that way, fluid, the same way as I would work with my hands, is how I see the symbol. So like if I'm doing this is also the symbol that I'm writing. So I could write it swiftly, or I could draw it swiftly, or use my hands, and I'm still speaking it per se, or putting it into existence by creating the it, whatever it's for. And a lot of these templates that you're seeing on this page, which is also where you can download all of the watercolor images. There's I think like 70 or 80 images that you can actually download into different prints. But each one has an energy to it and has a purpose. And a lot of those ones that are in black and white are origination codes, which are, functions or from, you want to say, from these ancient times of creation. So, and those you'll find in the Divine Orchestration book, which is this particular one here.
Now, do you have a community where you run in like-minded people that do similar art that you network with? Because I have seen some artists that do some similar work, and they're kind of the same spiritual vein as what you're talking about. So I was just wondering if you guys kind of network with each other as well, since you would find that you're kind of on the same frequency.
I mean, not like an actual like network. I guess I mean through like Facebook and like social media, I've connected with different people, but not on an actual like platform.
Oh no! I was just thinking that that you're drawn to each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that my most like profound experiences are like never planned. Where we connect in a way where they'll see an image or find a website looking for something completely different, or a Facebook page looking for something completely different, and then all of a sudden there's a connection point made for something so much bigger than that.
I would love to see your work also as stained glass windows.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
It would be.
Yeah, that'd be powerful too, with the light coming through.
Now you've got a new medium.
Yeah. I love that, because I've been exploring different media since I was a kid, and I like to layer. Like I work with metals and watercolor, paint, acrylic, etc. And I feel like when you're layering the different media, it actually amplifies it in different ways. But that would be really amazing with the sun.
Taco sounds good.
Yeah.
Are these courses you offer?
I have one out right now.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Thank you.
It is.
Yeah, it's to remind everyone and share information about how we're all energy transformers, we're all frequency transformers, we're all sound healers. And that's what we're all remembering right now, is that we can all do that. And the course is opening up those remembrances through basic to more evolutionary concepts that we can all use in our daily lives to transform energy in different ways.
I just got a phrase that was given to me looking at your artwork, which was, we're not here to compete for the beauty, we're here to share the beauty. So once we do that, we can have peace.
Yeah.
Very amazing.
Thank you.
It's beautiful art, honestly.
Yes. I love it.
Are people able to buy your art on your site, or?
Yes. Yeah. The shop page is where everything, all the downloads are, which has like under the light language art tab is where you'll find, you basically look through the thumbnails and, feel which ones are, resonant to your energy, essentially. And then from there you download the image and you can create a print whatever size you like. I don't have the originals on there. My feeling was to take the originals to different conferences and events so people can experience them and purchase those in person. So I don't have all the originals listed there, but I do have all of the originals available as prints. So as downloads for people to create into prints.
Well, those are beautiful. I'm just looking at the Healing the Sacred Heart one. That's really nice.
Yeah, those are the sound meditations here that you're on. If you go to the art page is where you'll see all the art, but these are all 1 hour different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you go back up to the top where you were, there's the there we are with the categories. See where it says products and services? There's different categories, and under the categories is where, see, like light language art would be where you'd find all the art. And if you wanted to go to the albums, you would go to sound and frequency albums. The MP3s, where it says frequency activation MP3s, those are the individual 1 hour downloads. So each tab will take you to a different specialty. so like the art page will take you to show you all the art, which I think there's like over 70, or actually might be over 80 probably images.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Got clothing and essential oils.
The essential oils are actually, there's one, it's called Divine Love, and it's sung, sounded, and toned, created essential oil blend. So it has frequency imbued within it. And if you actually click on this oil, you'll see a video of how it was made. If you go down into the, see where there's a play button? Oh, right there. Yeah, right there. It's a YouTube video. It shows how I do the same process of singing, sounding, and toning to create the frequency within the oils. So you'll hear me tone, and then I'm offering light language, light code to the oils on top of the blend of the 11 oils. It also has frequency and the sound and tone within them.
So I have a book that has all of the different formulas for the using essential oils and putting them together. But it sounds like you've done that in this particular product. And when you get into it, and you have to make sure that you get the pure oils because some of them are not pure. And then you get into the pricing of it. It is so expensive just to make the one formula that you're probably better off, if you are already putting them together, to just buy the blends that are doing what you want to do, right? Because it would be actually much cheaper to do it this way, because one bottle of a particular, just one ingredient to one formula can cost as much as what you have here.
Yeah, it's quite the process, but the way that I was called to make the specific one was to blend all of the oils first, all the ingredients first, and essentially, somatically create it with the frequencies, and then pour them individually into the different bottles, and then offer another frequency over that, kind of how you're seeing in the video. So it's got different layers, because I view everything as layers, the multidimensional layers. So it's not just the one act that is creating something, it's also the energy that it's in later. It's especially when it's a liquid or it's water, it's consistently transforming based off of the energy. So those were created that way.
Wow, this has been a fascinating hour. I thank you so very much for joining us. I hope you'll come back again.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
And remind everyone again where they can find you.
Well, the main website where you can find everything else is innergalacticenergyhealing.com, and that's INNER. Well, you can see it on the screen here. And that'll have all the YouTube channel. It'll have all the shop page, how you can book an energy session. There's also a calendar of upcoming events and other services on there as well. So you can find everything from there.
That is a miracle. I thank you so very much for joining us. Brian, would you like to tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, I still have a lot of catch up to do on the blog that I'm, trying to get out regularly. Still kind of recovering from the conference. It's can be found. I can be found at fulldisclosure.live and fulldisclosure.network. The one will take you to the website for the ongoing conference series, and then the other will take you to the blog. And both will have information coming up in the weeks and months to come on the platform that we're launching, the Full Disclosure Network, along with the app and cryptocurrency, the dating service, the e-commerce, all the upcoming events, including not just next year again in Florida, but in Sedona, Arizona as well coming up.
Are you also on YouTube?
I am. I'm on YouTube as I believe it's Brian saying the SolarBee. Or full disclosure now, I'm getting all my channels mixed up, and we're just starting to really get the YouTube up and going. So I'll take a look. I'll see if I can find that.
Okay. And Tom Althouse, would you like to make any final comments and tell people where they can find you?
Absolutely brilliant. I mean, mind-blowing for me, and a crossroad of just like launch pad feeling. So thank you so much, Syren, and everybody for this too. And Brian, I'm excited for you to catch up, and I'm going to muster my courage and basically together here and say that thank you to Jen and Reed for doing TomAlthouse.com, making it easy for me again. I always tell her I say that. That's where you can find me. You guys did a great job. I relish it.
Excellent. Jessica, can you want some final comments and tell people where they can find you?
Well, I just wanted to thank her for doing this. You gave me another rabbit hole to go down through in regards to the codes. I'm familiar with the frequencies, but in regards to the geometry part of it and the codes. So that's fascinating. So thank you for that. And people can find me on X at Jessica OG111 and throughout the week here on Agent X11 and then on Mondays, Trauma Triage.
Excellent. Joan Renee, where can people find you?
Well, first of all, thank you for coming. And you do have some unusual talents for sure. And I think with a lot of people who have a gift that's unique, it's often very misunderstood when they're young. And so it's to see as an adult how you've been able to express that and to turn that into almost a career, it sounds like. So, I think that that's going to be very beneficial to a lot of people, or has been already. So that's, that's a great example of using that. And then you can find me here on Agent X11. You can find me on The Awake Nation a couple of days a week. And you can find me on Trauma Triage. And you can find me on X, Joan Renee 27.
Yes, I'm just going to say this was absolutely fabulous, Syren. Your artwork is just incredibly beautiful. And your work is just, I think, instrumental towards, educating people as to the frequencies that are at their disposal for healing. And I encourage everyone to go to, is it intergalactic energyhealing.com? Is that correct?
Yes.
I encourage everyone to go there. And I want to thank everyone for joining us, everyone on this panel, dearly beloved. And my name is Penny L.A. Shepherd. And please like, share, and subscribe. Everyone is doing this just to get information out. And that's the way that you can actually pay us, is just by sharing, and subscribing everywhere to make sure that this information gets out. You can also find me on Awake Nation Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. That's Eastern time, with my best friend David Zublik. And join us for some comedy and some news and for some wonderful, wonderful guests. And that is on Eastern time on the David Zublik channel. And you can find me on X at Shepherd Out. And unfortunately, we are out of time right now. So, Shepherd out.
Renee out.
Althouse out.
Garza out.
SolarBee.
Bye. Thank you.
SolarBee.
Goodbye for today from Agent X11, Hollywood Dark Journalist. We post new episodes daily. Check out our true crime episodes Wednesdays and Fridays. Please watch our main show, David Zubik's Awake Nation, on the David Zubik channel on Rumble. We are live Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern.